Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's Self-Care Wednesday. So, and I need some serious self-care today. So, I know, right? I just wanted to lay in bed all day. My head is going in so many directions today. I'm like super squirreling today. But I'm not really sure why, but I am. So just kind of roll with it, right? So it's Self Care Wednesday. Good morning, Catherine. And let's see what we got. I was talking to a friend this morning, and I've got some interesting stats. So I'm going to share that for self care because I'm really going to focus in on the mental health today. But before we get there, we have the daily cards, the mindfulness, because it is Self Care Wednesday. And of course, we start with the morning mantras. So let's get rolling on this one. All right. When in doubt, give people the benefit. Oh, okay. When in doubt, give people the benefit. Everyone else is trying their best, right? Except maybe this person talking on speakerphone in public. I love the self-helpy cards without the self-helpiness. But yeah, see, they got that little duck squawk in there. So again, when in doubt, give people the benefit. Everyone else is trying their best, right? Except maybe for the person who is talking on speakerphone in public. It is amazing how many people do not care if everyone hears their conversation. And I have to tell you, that is one of the things, and I don't know if it's because I was born before the true advent of cell phones and everybody having one, or grew up before, they exploded, right, at the beginning of the millennium. Just like everybody has to have a cell phone. It's easy. And, they're great because it really does help. I mean, I remember when, you get waiting for somebody or you get stuck and, you have to use a pay phone and then you have to hope they're on the other side. But good morning, older sibling. But yeah, it always strikes me kind of sideways when people think that it's okay to just talk on their speakerphone. My favorite is California is a hands-free state. And my favorite is when you see somebody on their cell phone like this while driving. It's like, dude, that's not hands-free. You're still holding on to it, right? So, good morning, Diane. So, yeah. I know, it's a pet peeve. What can I say? But, so I'm going to do the mindfulness cards, and, a friend of mine, you know who you are. She gave me some really, really good stats that I want to share. And in fact, I went the distance on one of them and actually looked up some other stuff with it. So, whoa, there's a lot of cards rolling out for this one. So again, everybody, welcome to Self-Care Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. Boy, these cards are just popping out, the alchemical daily thought cards. All right, I think that's it. All right, let's see. So, in fact, when I was talking about the cell phone, I remember when I was in London, I was on the bus, and God, I love that bus, and the tube. But there was this guy sitting like just across but one seat back from me. Just, cell phone's loud, he's loud, and it was like it was his office or something, and he's just yammering away on speakerphone, just saying, like, some of the people, and I thought maybe it was just me, but some of the people were looking at him like, seriously? But I guess some people just don't care. And, if you want to talk to people, I don't care. Even if you're on, but try to be mindful of the people around you. I get it. We're all on cell phones. I personally will do my best if I'm out somewhere to either answer the call very quietly or take it outside. but I don't know. That's just me. I know. Crotchety old bitch, right? So anyways, all right. Let your fears be your fuel. Chaos is the alchemical path to life. Forge your own reality now. So let your fears be your fuel. I really like that. I know we've had this card a long time ago. I think this is only the second time we've had it. But what I like about this card is that It really does tell you, don't just crawl back into your comfort zone and hide. Get out there and push through the fear. That's how we get places. That's how we manifest things. We push through that fear. We remind ourselves that, there's something good on the other side of that obstacle. On the other side of that wall is something amazing. Ask any prisoner in this world, right? On the other side of that wall is something pretty amazing. Freedom. And that's, as terrible of an analogy as that is, it's true. We all sometimes tend to put ourselves in our own little tiny prisons, our little comfort zone prisons. And we're afraid to climb that wall. We're afraid to escape to the other side. And when we do that, it really can affect your self-care because, you're not being true to yourself. You're not doing what you want to do. You're not, you're just not being true to yourself. All right. So you are always just one decision away from a magically different life. You're just one decision away from a magically different life. So I posted something the other day that says, I want to be like a caterpillar. Eat all day, sleep, and then eventually wake up beautiful. And I just thought it was funny. And somebody said, if only that was a thing. And the first thing I thought was, it's like in the past I would have normally answered yeah, right? But this time I just said, or maybe it's just mindset. Maybe it's just mindset. I mean, yeah, granted, we probably can't eat as much as we'd like. Well, some people could. Sissy Joe, she got a metabolism that never ended. But, there are people in this world that can just eat. And there's some people where, we might pay for it the next day by gaining a pound or something, but it doesn't matter. I think we focus too much on, maintaining an appearance than making ourselves happy. And I don't mean become an emotional eater. Trust me, that is just not the thing you want to do. But what I'm saying is, go out there and enjoy life. Good morning, baby sibling. Go out there and enjoy life. Go out there and, if you are on a date or you're out with friends or you're out with family, enjoy that meal. Don't feel guilty about it, okay? Just deal with the consequences later. And by that, I mean, maybe you gain half a pound. Okay, then do some extra squats and crunches and sit-ups. Yeah, that's aimed at someone. But I'm in a group right now. And the crunches, the squats, and the sit-ups are killing me. But they do feel good, I admit. Squats are a little rough on my surgery knee. But yeah, it was pretty smooth, wasn't it? But anyway, sorry, I'm answering her. But no, seriously, just do what you have to do, but don't, thank you, baby sibling. Don't stop. Okay, don't stop living because you're worried about what society might think of you. Or if, you're eating something and you're walking by. I used to have that fear, and I did. In fact, yesterday I did something I wouldn't normally do. I posted a picture to Facebook. Everybody on Facebook pretty much knows what I look like. But then I posted it to Twitter to try to work on my body positivity. And it was a head to toe shot. And it was a little blurry, but I thought, you know what? I was so happy with just looking in the mirror and not judging myself. And I realized I didn't judge myself until after I posted, and I was the only one judging me. There were no mean comments, and if other people had comments that were not nice, they did not share them. So that for me was a huge part and a huge boost to my self-care. So you will see it when you believe it. Your thoughts create your own reality. Bend your mind. I don't know what's wrong with my eyeballs today. You will see it when you believe it. Your thoughts create your own reality. Bend your mind. Bend your mind. So, I have this thing. I've got these new cards the other day, the Shaman's Dream. And some of the cards that came up for me was straddling both realms. And it was about the, obstacles and then completion. And the interesting thing is I talk about a wall of waves, right? From the sea of misery through the wall of waves to the ocean of bliss. So I thought that was interesting that one came up. And then the last card with the completion card was about closing door. That's what the card says, closing door. And I thought, wow, I said, these are kind of metaphors I use. And so I sat there before everybody arrived from my dad's little soiree. And while he was getting ready, so I sat at the bar. My dad has a bar in his house. I sat at the bar and I was just thinking, what can I do? And then all of a sudden, I remembered a scene from the third Harry Potter movie, The Prisoner of Azkaban, when Professor Lupin was in his class, and they had a boggart, and the boggart is this just random weird energy thing that takes the shape of whatever it is that you fear. And then they just used the word ridiculous. That's the spell, ridiculous. And I thought, maybe I'll do that. Every time I have a fear arise and the boggart comes in the shape of something random that scares me, I'll just say that word. I actually wrote it on me, okay? Because it's something I think will help me. So when you're facing your fears and you're struggling to bend your mind in the direction that you want to bend it in so that you can just move forward, in your life, enjoying that, enjoying your life, just think of the word ridiculous, or even if you're not a Harry Potter fan, or maybe magic scares you a little bit, just say, you know what, that's ridiculous. And remind yourself, make that your mantra, that's ridiculous, whatever fear comes up, so that when you do say the word ridiculous or that's ridiculous, you automatically think, yeah, you know what, I'm stronger than my fears. My fears do not have power over me. That can be the other mantra. My fears do not have power over me. In fact, I should write that down. My fears do not have power over me. Let's see if I can read my writing later. It literally looks like a doctor's writing on a prescription. So just absolutely nothing. I have absolutely nothing. This card has absolutely nothing. But maybe that's just it, right? They're the daily thought cards. Absolutely nothing. Clear your mind. Clear your mind. My mind has been a super squirrel this week. So anyways, your superpower is the ability to choose what you tune into. So choose creatively now. This could also go with the bend your mind. Bend your mind. If you struggle with meditation, YouTube has a lot of good stuff on there. You can just YouTube search meditation, binaural beats, all those wonderful things. And they are really amazing. So I'm going to get to the mindfulness cards, and I promise we're going to get to the subject today. But this is Self-Care Wednesday, so I do like to focus and zero in a little bit on that first. And then I'm going to talk about a really big self-care topic. And it might be a little triggering to some, but I think it's completely necessary to talk about it. So, all right, let's see. This is the mindfulness deck. Ooh, sharing appreciation. I like that. Whoop. I wish you guys could just see how these things just fall out of this. All right, I usually try to do 3. So let's see. Oops. I accidentally bent that card. It's funny. Some of these cards are doing like somersaults in here. Wow, that's a lot of them. All right, we'll run through these really quick. So, all right. Let me gather them up here. Here's the bent one. So, practice growth mindset. We've had this one before. Your mindset can fall into one of 2 different categories, fixed or growth. A fixed mindset believes that a person's qualities, intelligence, and talents are not changeable. A growth mindset is based on the belief that your basic qualities are things you can cultivate through your efforts. Spend one day using the word yet. Whenever you are ready to say you cannot do something, add the word yet on the end, and you will be able to be more mindful about improving and developing your skills. So I watched this is funny because I didn't watch the whole video. It just started playing when I had YouTube on last night. And it was an Esther Hicks and Abraham video. And this guy was talking about, his daughter and her mantras and this, that, and the other. And he says well, she says that this can't be done. And then Esther kept adding yet. So I feel like that was just meant for me to hear, because that's true. Every time we think we can't do something, apparently fear is our topic today. So fear is our topic for a self-care portion of this conversation. But every time you think you can't do something, just add the word yet. Or maybe something's not happening. I don't understand why this hasn't happened yet. Because when we add the word yet, it's also it's probably the very short version of, I do not wish to manifest this into reality. Because what you're saying is, you're quickly taking that key and turning that lock and opening the door. Instead of shutting it on the thought, you're opening the door saying, okay, maybe. So basically you're going from no to maybe to yet. So just remember that. Growth mindset is very, very important. We're growing every day. We learn every day. Intuitive scheduling. That's interesting. Comparing ourselves to others can lead to negative feelings. During a day when you have no other commitments, try to not plan your day based on others. Instead, listen to yourself and schedule your day around tasks that bring you the most ease and joy. If you are not a morning person, complete big tasks in the evening when you are more productive. Listen to your body and eke out the best performance at times which suit you. So you do you. You do you, and everybody deserves. This is Self-Care Wednesday, so I'm going to say it. Everybody deserves. Sorry, I'm rolling the other way. Everyone deserves some time to have just quality time with themselves. All right. So even if it's in the shower, because maybe you have a busy, chaotic life and that's the only place you can find it, but even there, just take your breaths. Let everything wash off of you. Sharing appreciation. Every week, mindfully choose a person in your life who you are grateful for. Mention a specific instance to that person when they said or did something that you admired. This is an opportunity to shine a light on others' strengths and contributions to your life and to encourage the growth of their positive qualities. I know 3 people watching right now that significantly add to my life. And one of them I was talking to this morning. So there you go. You know who you are. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Embrace the unpredictable. Ooh, you know what that means. Go with the flow. While it works well for us to have good daily practices, it is important to embrace the unpredictable. Routines are guidelines and our days do not always go to plan. When this happens, do not allow this to become a stress. Instead, welcome the change as a new challenge or adventure and be fluid in your everyday. So that really is growth mindset. That really is growth mindset. And because you're going with the flow. You're learning to go with the flow. You're not just sitting there going, but you're going with the flow. So set your intentions. Before getting out of bed in the morning, set your intentions for the day. Set achievable, realistic goals and mindfully complete them. By the evening, you will feel more fulfilled having consciously achieved small goals. It doesn't even have to be goals, guys. You can just wake up and say, you know what? This is what I say in the morning now. I am here, I am blessed, and I am welcoming this day with excitement. There's a world of possibilities all around me. I am ready. So, because things do happen, right? And so I feel like those 2 cards actually contradicted themselves. Go with the flow. Just go with the flow. Go with the flow. So here's our last one. All right. Actually, I have 2 more. Flower power. Examine the intricacies of a flower, the petals, the colors, the lines. Take the time to notice the difference between 2 flowers of the same type and why that might be. Does one have more sunlight? Is the soil better quality? Have you recently watered one more than the other? If you don't have flowers, if you go out on a nature walk, just look at different things. Look at different things that are similar but different. Look at people. We're all human, right? On the inside, we're all basically got the same stuff. But on the outside, we're different. So, and why? I mean, we're not that different. We're all unique in our own special ways. Unless you're a twin or a triplet, nobody really looks like you in this world. Well, some of us do have doppelgangers, but that person that's like, wow, that's kind of creepy. But, for the most part, even twins and triplets and all of those, identical ones is what I'm talking about. Even they tend to have different personalities. I mean, there's a reality show where an older sibling and I just saw the commercial and it's just like, they were triplets and they came up with their own language, which is great. And that's kind of cool, especially when you're growing up. But it was just interesting. It was interesting to see that dynamic. And that was only like, a 2-minute commercial. So anyway, be kind to yourself. This is a good way to end self-care portion. Self-compassion provides us with the best possible mindset for growth. When experiencing pain, mindfully acknowledge that you are scared or overwhelmed. Then approach that pain to actively soothe and support yourself as you would a friend. So be kind to yourself. That's first and foremost. Be kind to yourself. We spend a lot of time being angry at ourselves, hurting ourselves, being sad. And sadness happens, right? Sadness is an occurrence. If you have a dinged up mental health, that's an occurrence too. I had this one girl I've been talking to, she recently lost her mom yesterday, and I felt so bad because I thought I sent my reply, and then she sent another message this morning going, I'm really sorry I asked. And it's like, no, I'm so sorry. It's like I got so distracted yesterday, I never hit send. But she asked me in my grief when my mom died if I was ever suicidal. And I told her because I have a dinged up mental health that, oh, sorry guys, I forgot to give you the trigger warning. So if the subject's going to get pretty, well, I don't think it's going to get super deep, but it's going to be more factual and just kind of shared experience and whatnot. But I told her, I said, for me, during that time, because I hadn't gone back to therapy yet, I couldn't discern between my mental health and whether it was grief or my mental health. And so I was very honest with that. But I also told her, I said, I'm an open book about my mental health. So, please, don't be afraid to ask. So I have another friend who I was talking to this morning, and we were talking about the mental health stuff, and we had a pretty good, deep conversation. And she is currently going to a suicide support group because she recently lost her brother. And she told me out of the 11 people there, half of them have lost children to suicide. Ages, I believe, I wrote down my notes, 19 to 29. And I think we think about, when we hear children, we think, oh, well, they were adults. It doesn't matter. No parent should have to bury a child. We see that enough with diseases that take children, and mental health is a disease. Having a dinged up mental illness. I hate the word mental illness. I think that's part of the stigma. Apparently, there's new phrases like neurodiversity. For me, I just say a dinged up mental health. It sounds cute and funny to me, but that's how I get through it, because I absolutely hate the word mental illness, because I think that's where part of the stigma lands. I think part of the stigma is exactly there when we say illness. People hear illness and they think heart disease, cancer, diabetes, all these different things, Alzheimer's. And when you say mental illness, it's almost like, ooh, and it becomes a whisper, right? Like, they have mental illness. But so when I say dinged up mental health, I prefer it that way. I'll be honest, the last couple of months have been a real hard mental struggle. This morning I woke up and I felt fine, but I was like, I just want to lay in bed. I don't want to do Self-Care Wednesday. And then my friend, she messaged me, and with a very nice opportunity. So thank you again for that. And also, she's all like, your show is so helpful, and I'm so grateful you're talking about mental health. And then she told me about her support group, and I thought, okay, I got to get my ass out of bed and do the show. So here I am. And you can see I'm not very made up. I'm just, and I don't think I'm struggling, but I think that's part of why when I start therapy Friday, this is the first time I'm going into therapy without any trauma behind it. Maybe it's an after effect of the trauma I've healed. Maybe it's just my mental health is finally, taken the forefront, and, the trauma's healed. So now I can focus on my actual mental health. But whatever it is, it's just kind of like, it's really upending me. And I can't tell you, I've been chomping at the bit for about a month now, just waiting to get in to see the therapist, because it's like, oh my God. It's like, I just need to talk to somebody. And I have people, the 3 people on here, baby sibling, my friend, I don't want to say her name. Well, she's on the thing because she said good morning, Diane, and older sibling. They're, sorry, Diane, I said I wouldn't say your name, but you commented, so it's kind of hard to not say it. But, I totally lost, see, this is what happens with mental health. I totally lost my track. But yeah, I have those 3 to talk to. That's what I was going to say. But there's something about therapy that's just really kind of releasing. And I think it's because the person sitting in front of you isn't trying to fix you. They're not trying to solve your problems. They're trained to pull out of you. Thank you. Thank you. She's like, it's okay. Sorry about that. They're trained to pull out of you with the right questions what is happening. It's like having a thought at the tip of your tongue, right? You can't say it, and then someone comes along and just hits you up the backside of the head, and you're like, oh yeah, there it is. So it's kind of that way. And it's not anything against the people that it's nothing against the people I have in my support group, and I am truly, truly grateful for them. What it is that, I don't know, I can't explain therapy, but I highly recommend it if you were struggling. Because, this is what they do. This is what they're trained for. And so, they know how to pull whatever it is out of you, even if you don't know what's sitting in there. So one of the stats Diane gave me in one of her nursing courses recently was, so actually I'm going to read. She gave me a stat, which I found very sad, to be honest with you. And I don't know what the top 20 is, but I'm going to read you the first things. So, let's see. These are the top 10 deaths in society. Okay, now I don't know if this is just for America or this is global or what, but these are the top 10 deaths in society. Number 1, heart disease. Number 2, cancer, and that's all cancers combined. Number 3, unintentional injuries. So, like falling off a ladder, getting into a car accident, just bad things that happen. Number 4, chronic lower respiratory disease. Number 5, stroke and cerebrovascular diseases. I didn't trip over that when I first wrote it down, but stroke and cerebrovascular diseases. Number 6, Alzheimer's. Number 7, diabetes. Number 8, flu and pneumonia. Number 9, kidney disease. And number 10, suicide. It breaks my heart that suicide cracked the top 10. Because everything before it are things that are, they have cures for it, and they have medical attention for it, and that doesn't always mean it works, because obviously they're on here, right? I mean, people, there's probably somebody right now just up and dying from a heart attack. And I don't mean that to sound, cold, because, it's sad. It's sad. Somebody is going to have to deal with losing someone by the end of the day. A lot of someone's. Because heart disease is at the top. Which is why now, why, I'm trying to get my health back into where it needs to be. And I'm getting the noodle fixed. So, cancer. There's a lot of treatments now for cancer. Yeah, there will be some people we will lose to that. But aside from unintentional injuries, somebody going out and just not coming home that day because of an accident or something bad that happened, or, the favorite thing in America right now, which seems to be mass shootings. I know. I have a whole nother thought on that one. But anyways, the fact that suicide lands on here, it is heartbreaking. And when I read that, I thought, geez, what more can we do? I was raised by a mom who didn't understand mental health. Okay. Well, I mean, I had 2 parents, but I never told my dad about it. And we've had a long talk about that since. He was a little disappointed that I didn't come to him. And I understand that. That's completely understandable. And if I had, who knows where I'd be at today. And it's nothing against my mom. It's nothing against my mom. That's how she was raised. You don't talk about it. You don't deal with it. And that's a lot of the baby boomer generation. You don't talk about it. And the generation before them. Because a lot of the boomers came from the generation before them where you don't talk about this stuff, where it's very taboo. And so one of the things Diane told me was that, she was very, she was grateful that I talk about the mental health and that I'm very open with my mental health because, I do. If we can save one person, that's one less brokenhearted family, right? And I had a friend that took her own life, and it was what sibling calls that flashpoint moment, where it's just 1 minute, everything seems to be like almost manageable, and the next minute, that's it. Everything's done. And, there was an article in the newspaper a couple months ago about a gentleman who, I don't know the circumstances, so I don't want to be judgy, but he jumped off the parking structure at Disneyland. And that's where sibling told me, she's, oh, that's a flashpoint moment. Chances are he went there, it's Disneyland, and maybe at some point he was just like, oh my God, maybe his brain just got so overwhelmed that he just did it. And some of the comments were like, they were very, I would call it passive aggressive in this way, because it was like, well, I feel sorry that he had mental health issues, but why Disneyland? Because families go there and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're missing the point. And there were a lot of people saying, you just don't understand mental health. Oh no, I understand mental health. No, you don't. If you can't understand why somebody did it there, then you have no clue. Because, and it's terrible to say, because a lot of people will say, well, yes, I do. It's terrible. It's like, yeah, of course it's terrible. It's Disneyland. Somebody climbed to the top of the Matterhorn. It's like my major concern if they're jumping off the Matterhorn would be, gosh, what's going on in their brain? Not, oh my God, that's going to scar children for life. Yes, it probably will. But the reason I bring that up is they were calling this person selfish. They were saying, I can't believe they would be so thoughtless and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, when you use words like that, you have no idea what mental health is about. And this is why suicide is number 10 on the top, however many, the top 10 deaths in society. I have no idea what number 11 was. The article didn't go past 10. But, it could have been falling out of a tree for all I know. Well, I guess that would be unintentional injuries, but it could have been dementia, right? I mean, I know that's a form of Alzheimer's, but, it could have been COVID. It could have been whatever, but the fact that suicide cracked the top 10, that's concerning. Because it's the one thing that we can work really hard to prevent. It doesn't require surgery. It might require some medication depending on how bad it is. What it requires is us to be better as humans. It requires us to be not so judgmental when someone's having a bad day. And I mean this from both sides, because I know people who have mental health issues and someone who I would refer to as the common people. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in, I don't say normal, because people with mental health issues are also normal. We just struggle. So when I say, it's like when you say the common cold or the common flu, common people to me that don't have indignant mental health. I have seen people weaponize their mental health when someone says, man, I'm really kind of blue today. You have no idea what being blue is like. Yeah, they do. They have common people blues. And then they feel unseen, and then they feel unheard. And when people say that, how do we know that this person doesn't have an underlying mental health issue? But maybe they grew up, like me, with one parent that just, you don't talk about those things. You have to be stronger. I don't fault my mom for that. What I actually think it did was it gave me a talking point. It gave me the experience to share with other people to say, look, you know what? You can love your parents to the moon and back, but nobody's perfect. We're not perfect. My mom did the best she could, and, I think I was just so worried about, I don't know what was going through my head when I didn't tell my dad. And I do regret that, because like I said, but I think everything does happen for a reason. I know a lot of people don't like that term. Everything happens for a reason, but it's the truth. And for me, in my reality, it's the truth. And I think the less we ignore our mental health and the less we ignore other people's mental health, the sooner we can get suicide out of the top 10. I mean, think about it, right? There's grief support groups and there's a suicide support group. I mean, it goes beyond grief, because when we lose someone to cancer, when we lose someone to Alzheimer's. My friend is one of my besties. My longtime bestie is currently dealing with, not dealing with, but caring for his mother-in-law who has Alzheimer's. And he says it's the disease known as the long goodbye. And, people who say, well, cancer's a long goodbye, but it's, Alzheimer's is the long goodbye, because there's no telling. With cancer, you kind of know where you stand. Is it coming? Is it going? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? You can almost, you can't pinpoint somebody's passing, but you get an idea of a time frame. Alzheimer's, dementia, those things, they don't have a time frame. It just happens when it happens. I had an old boss who for almost 7 or 8 years was living with dementia until he passed away. And, it is a long goodbye, because, when people struggle with their health, there was a great episode on Mom, right? The woman's husband had a stroke and she was taking care of him, and everybody's like, why aren't you crying? And, she wasn't crying at first because she'd been preparing for that moment. She'd struggled. She had those tears that randomly, came and went. But my friend, whose brother passed away, who took his own life, she left, came back, and the whole day changed. Her whole life changed. One moment it's like, okay, I'll see you later. It's like somebody who gets into a car accident. Okay, I'll see you later. And then they're not there anymore. Except with a car accident, it's tragic and it's sad. But when someone takes their own life, you think, oh my God, all your what ifs start to happen. Should I have left? Did I do the wrong thing by leaving them alone? Should I have seen the signs? I was the last person to see my friend alive before she left the office. And, the last person that in the office, because I sat near the front door. And the last thing I remember was thinking, I'll see you tomorrow. I hope you feel better, and I'll see you tomorrow. And she's like, okay. She's all like, have a great day, or have a great rest of the day. It's like, thank you. And then 3 or 4 hours later, I found out she passed away. And I kind of had a feeling when, her spouse called, couldn't get a hold of her. None of us could get a hold of her. And it's just like, for me, as a person who struggles with mental health, I just automatically went to the worst thing. And unfortunately, it was correct. And even older siblings said she had that issue with her dad. She did. Her father had a slow goodbye. And then I believe he had a stroke, right? I think he had a bigger stroke in the end. And, she, even in that evening where she struggled with letting him go, and she knew there was no hope. She even asked the doctor, look, I'm just asking you. His older sibling she's very legal loophole wise. So, because doctors can't tell you what to do. They can only give you your options. But she said, if this were your parent, what would you do? And he's like, I wouldn't put them through that, because they're not gonna survive. They're not gonna last much longer. And she's like, okay, thank you. And she thanked him for his honesty. We all did, because you don't want to keep somebody tethered to this planet if they don't belong here. And she gave him the goodbye. She sent him on his way. And that was heart disease. Or no, that was number 5, stroke and cerebrovascular diseases. But again, suicide. Suicide's in the top 10. It's number 10. And if we're not careful, it's going to work its way down that list. Past kidney disease, past flu and pneumonia. We have to be more understanding. And I'm going to say it, we have to be braver. We have to be braver. That doesn't mean that everybody you run into is going to have some kind of mental health issue. You could run into somebody having a bad day. Oh yeah, that's right. And her father had Alzheimer's. So it really was the long goodbye. But you never know who you're going to run into. And like I said, you could run into a common person that's just having a bad day. Don't diagnose anybody, okay? You cannot diagnose people yourself. Even if you have a dinged up mental health. But what we can do is be nicer to people. We can be kinder to people. We can be more understanding whether they have a dinged up mental health or they are a common person. because we don't know what people are going through. We don't know what they're struggling with. And the sooner that we become more accepting of the fact that mental health and having a dignant mental health is here to stay, and that we need to be better about protecting our mental health, I think the sooner we could get suicide off that list, or at least out of the top 10. I'd be happier with it being at number 11. You don't hear about, you don't hear lists that go the top 11 things. No, you hear the top 10, the top 5, the top 3. So top 10's a big deal. Top 10's a really big deal. And like I said, we have to be better. I've had near attempts. I've had 3 near attempts in my life. And I got that term from the intake therapist, because I'm like, oh, it has a term? She's like, oh yeah, they're called near attempts. And near attempts means that I came this close. I didn't attempt it, but I came close. Knife to the wrist, pills in the eating myself to death. That was a long game. That was the long game, eating myself to death. But because I found the loophole. I found the loophole in my promise. And then once I realized I found the loophole, I nipped it in the bud. I cut that cord and nipped it in the bud. And, they were at different times in my life. Once when I was 16, the other one's when I was about 29, right? 29. That was the age group. 19 to 29 was the age group of people whose children had taken their lives in that support group. And so, like I said, we have to be better. We have to move suicide out of the top 10. It's scary. And again, like they said, thank you, Diane. She says she's glad I failed. And I am too. I'm glad you know what? I have to tell you, divine intervention hit both times. I will honestly say that divine intervention hit both times, and probably the third time too, when I was kind of eating myself to death. But the first time, I love sharing the story because it's such an interesting thing, and it was here in this house, in this kitchen. And I had the knife to my wrist, and chances are I would have survived anyways, because we found out that's not the way. If you're gonna, well, I'm not gonna tell you how to do it, because no, that's not right. But anyways, the phone started ringing. Now, the phone was hooked up to an answering machine, which after about 4 rings would pick up. I was ignoring it. It hit the 10th ring and the answering machine still hadn't picked up. So I was distracted at that point, like, why? What's happening? And the phone just kept ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing until finally I answered it. And it was my bestie from 9th grade. It was Troy, whose mother-in-law is suffering with Alzheimer's. And he's like, I just had this weird inkling to call you and see if you're okay. And I thought, wow. And I told him everything. And he told me, he's all right. From now on, every day after school, I'm gonna call you and check in with you. It's like, okay. And he did that until he thought I was better, and then we would just talk about once a week. Because I met him in high school, in my first high school, and then we moved, and I ended up at a new high school. The second time, I was calling everybody in the world, and I kept getting voicemails. There were interviews, meetings, people just not near their phone, and cell phones weren't really that big back then. So, we weren't thinking about, being right next to our phone like we are now. And nobody was answering. And I sat there in front of a glass filled with Pepsi, because I hate Pepsi. So I figured that would be my punishment, right? Pour all the pills into the Pepsi. And it was terrible, because I took the pills that the doctor gave sibling after her mother passed away. And it was right around Christmas. And I don't know what was happening in my mind, but this situation was very similar to now. I was out of work, and I was struggling mentally. And just as I was about to pick up the drink, I took one sip. I don't think I ever told anybody that, but I took one sip, and then all of a sudden I smelled cotton candy in the house. And that was the divine intervention, because Laura's mom, I was sitting in her chair. Laura's mom loved cotton candy. And I thought, she is making me smell this because she knows that I'll know it's her. And I thought, oh, maybe, one way I could have thought was, oh, maybe she's going to be there to greet me. It's not funny. I'm just laughing because it's like, whoa. But it's a nervous laugh. But then I realized she's telling me no. She's all, look. Everything's gonna, that's all I felt. I felt this warmth around me, like somebody was hugging me, while I smelled this strong smell of cotton candy. And sorry. And then while I felt this warmth, all of a sudden the phone started ringing. I picked it up. It was older sibling. She had just gotten out of her interview. What's going on? I'm worried about you. Then I told her everything. I want you to pour that drink out right now. I'm not letting you off this phone until I get home. Don't you dare hang up or I'll keep calling back. And then my mom started buzzing through. My dad started buzzing through. Troy started buzzing through. And I realized in that moment that I had to trust that moment. And it's exactly what Diane said. That is divine intervention. A woman who barely knew me, but called me her other daughter, came and saved my life. And it's because she understood mental health. Older sibling's very open about her mental health, and she's helped me through my struggles. She's really been that anchor, even when I was a horrible person and didn't deserve it. But that's the kind of people we need to be. That is truly the kind of people we need to be. And I'm sorry, I don't want to cry, but I think it's important for people to know how powerful this is. If somebody would have given up on me, I don't know if I'd be here today. So we have to do better. We have to be better. We have to save the children. We have to stop ignoring the signs because we don't want to face it. I got very lucky, but not everybody is as lucky as me, because not everybody has that. I made that promise to baby sibling. I made that promise to older sibling. And believe it or not, very recently, I made that promise finally to me. Thank you, baby sibling. I didn't even realize you were still on. Thank you. I love you too. And again, I am sorry, but I'm not sorry for my tears. I'm sorry if it's hard to understand me, because this is how powerful it is when you finally have that realization that without a steady support group, we can fall into a statistic. Oh, she's working and listening. I lost a number up there, so it's always hard for me to tell, because sometimes there'll be like 5 people on and it'll tell me 2 people are on. So but thank you. But yeah, I couldn't, usually I can stop the tears, but I really think that maybe divine intervention stepped in again and said, you know what? No, you need to show people how painful this is. I have 3 people that I know for sure are watching. Diane, older sibling, baby sibling, who were there. Even if it's just a text and they answer back later, how are you doing? And they have their own struggles. I have my own struggles. But this is what we do to support one another. And it's always good to have more than one person, because you don't know what somebody else is going through. It's good to have a support group. Not a support pair, a support group. And, so anybody out there, again, my box is open. My inbox is open. If you need somebody to listen. Twitter has a wonderful support group. I have a friend who struggles daily with suicidal thoughts on Twitter. And it is but for the grace of any higher power that she believes in, that she is still here. And I worry, because I worry one day, when I don't hear from her for a day, maybe she's just taking a mental health day. I worry. But we have to be better. We have to get, I'm looking at my notes, we have to get suicide out of the top 10. That doesn't mean we're gonna save everybody, but if we can save at least one person, and there's so many variations and reasons behind suicide, accountability, but, maybe just that, like what older sibling says, that flashpoint moment when that feels like the only way out. And then, maybe afterwards you regret it, like, oops. But it is too late to regret it, but you're on the other side going, crap, what did I just do? But when it comes to, like, the really the people that we ignore the signs on, we gotta stop. And I just want to point this out too. Like, I know I was talking about my mom, and there are people who have been judgy about that, which, and I get it, but if you don't know her, you don't get to judge her, okay? She had a lot of shortcomings. We all do. But I think for her it was fear, because I am an only child. And, I have an older sibling, a baby sibling, but one's my cousin and one's my bestie. And I think she was just scared. I think she was afraid because she didn't know how to handle it, because we're not equipped. Her generation was not equipped to deal with it. What is it? Joe Kennedy had a lobotomy done on his daughter. The patriarch of the Kennedy family. And that's not a secret. She was never the same again. Because we didn't understand mental health. So it's like, oh, let's give them shock treatments. Oh, let's give them this. Let's give them this. Like, no, that's talk to them. See what's going on in their mind. And a lot of times it's just a mental handicap. It's not mental health. It's a mental handicap or mental disability. Forgive me. So I could ramble on this all day, but I think what we really need to do is we need to be better. We need to be more open-minded about mental health. We need to be more compassionate, empathetic, caring, and patient. Because that's what helps people. That's what sees people through the other side, to the other side. Not the other side of the veil either. Sees them through to the other side of their healing. I've had a lot of near misses. But I've had 3 major near attempts. And, I don't want to be that I don't want to go back there anymore, because I know that I put something into this world that I think people need to hear from an experience of my own that I've had. And if we can just be kinder to one another, maybe we can figure out how to change this world and make it a better place. And most importantly, get suicide out of the top 10. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for all the kind words and support from those of you who chimed in. I'm going to go fix my brain. I'm going to go take a little bit of I think I'm just going to lay down for a little bit and get my head in order. And like I said, I think the struggle really is the fact that I have therapy on Friday, and I'm so excited about it, but there's all these thoughts running through my head going like, what do I want to talk about? What do I want to talk about? I'm trying to figure out their job. I'm doing their job for them instead of just going in like a blank slate and saying, okay, I have no idea why I'm here. I do that. I say that. I have no idea why I'm here. I told older sibling, because she's like, what are you going to talk about? And I said, I'm just going to tell them I have no idea why I'm here. But I know I need to be here because I was having suicidal thoughts. And I know that there's something that's adding to that chaos, making me get to that point where it's like, I just want my brain to be quiet. And then I start coming up with 5,000, different things. What do I want to talk about? What is it? I just need to go in as a blank slate and just let my mind relax. And no, I'm not having those thoughts anymore. Once I acknowledged them and got my intake to therapy, I realized, no, I think that was just something that was kind of pushing me in that direction, the direction I needed to go into. So there's no shame in therapy. You can go and not tell the world. I tell the world because, like I said, if I can help one person, then that's everything to me. That's everything to me, because that makes up for the one person I couldn't help. And, and again, it's not for us to change someone's mind. We can't fix people. And chances are I probably could not have helped her. But if there's a way to save at least one life, then I'm going to do my best to keep doing that. Okay. So again, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll be back here tomorrow. Tomorrow may be early because it's a travel day for me tomorrow. But either way, whenever I pop on, I will be here. So I hope everybody has have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much for hanging in there and for all your compassion and understanding and your patience with me. I will always be an open book. So if you have questions, feel free to ask. I'll be back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Well, no, I just said I don't know what time, right? See, this is my brain's getting all squirrely again. Anyways, I'll see you tomorrow at some point. Thank you, Diane, for the stats and for letting me share your story. I really, really appreciate that. Again, I apologize. But yeah, so you know what? I'm so grateful to anybody that's watching that I can't see. Thank you for hanging in there. To the ones who I can see, I love you guys, and thank you again so much for everything you do for me. Have a great, great day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, and thank you again for watching.